Okay, we're good to go.
Okay. This is a special meeting of the Brecksville-Broadview Heights Board of Education and Public for the purpose of considering the superintendent's employment contracts and to consider a resolution regarding payment in lieu of transportation and HVAC upgrades, building improvements, in compliance with the elementary and secondary school emergency relief fund to address the impact of COVID-19. This meeting is not to be considered a public community meeting. There will not be an opportunity for public participation.
Let's all stand
Roll
for the
call.
pledge.
Pledge of allegiance.
I'll pledge allegiance. Sorry.
I
pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
Mr. Dosen,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes. Okay, item 2, other board business, contract addendum. Whereas the Brecksville-Broadview Heights City School District Board of Education and Joel M. Magyar, Superintendent, entered into an employment contract effective August 15, 2019 through July 31st, 2022. And whereas the board and superintendent desired to modify the employment contract, now therefore be it resolved that the board president is authorized and directed to execute an addendum to the contract of employment with Mrs. Magyar on behalf of the Brecksville-Broadview Heights City School District Board of Education upon the terms and conditions as agreed. And be it finally resolved that it is hereby found and determined that all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this board in compliance with all legal requirements, including section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Comments?
Have a motion first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second? I'll second. Discussion?
Yes, I'll make some comments. In my view, the performance of our superintendent over the past 5 years has been mixed. I've had the opportunity to work with 3 superintendents over my 9+ years, providing a basis for comparison. And it's my view that the district would benefit from a change in leadership. Therefore, I will not be supporting this extension.
I too agree with Mr. Dozen's views, and I will not be supporting. My name is Kathleen Mack. I will not be supporting this extension as well. We would definitely benefit from a change of leadership.
Any other comments?
I'm going to weigh in via Zoom. This is Ellen Kramer. I think there's a variety of reasons that I support this addendum. I think consistent leadership is very important at this time for a number of reasons, including our new construction, the fact that we are still navigating a pandemic, and we will be feeling the effects of that for months, if not years. I see there being significant drawbacks to searching for a new superintendent right now. Mrs. Magyar is very enthusiastic about our district and has our students' best interest in mind always. I I think her performance for the district has been very, very good during her tenure here. We have passed a levy and a bond issue during her tenure. I also, there's a number of other reasons that I support Mrs. Magyar, but those are just a few of the primary ones.
My comments echo Mrs. Kramer's regarding the contract addendum and the employment contract, which is up next. Echoing that she has had 2 successful rounds at the ballot. The ballot box has been fortunate for our school district as it's allowed us to continue doing many things for our community and for our school district. And I think, again, given the commitment from the board to continue providing goals in working with Ms. Magyar to meet our expectations, I believe she will continue to do that.
And for myself, I've only served on the board while Mrs. Magyar has been superintendent. I think what she has accomplished during the time I've been on the board is outstanding. We ranked 7th in 2019 in the state of Ohio. And again, the bond issue and a levy. I think everything I've ever done since I've been on the board is what I believe is in the best interest of our kids. And I believe retaining Superintendent Magyar does that. Anything else?
Please call the roll.
Roll call?
Mr. Dosen,
No.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
This is Kathleen Mack, no.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes. Passes 3 to 2. Next item is the employment contract. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? I'll second. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Dosen,
No.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
No.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes. It passes 3 to 2. Okay, item 3, treasurer recommendations. A, payment in lieu of transportation. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Just to clarify, so Chris, there was just an additional student, one added to this list from what we did last time. So is just correcting the list that we voted on last meeting.
That is correct.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Dosen,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes. Passes 5-0. Additional HVAC upgrades. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
So just briefly, we're running into the reason why we asked for this. Gardner who we're doing the HVAC work with at the middle school and high school, and board office has received supplier price increases that are effective before the end of the month, and that is why we've looked at this. Mr. Code and I are working with Gardner now to finalize that. So our plan is this kind of gives us the authorization to get that taken care of before the next regular board meeting to do a change order before the price increases would take effect. We estimate that would save the district between $50,000 and $75,000 in price increases, which easily would be some small projects for the PI committee. So we're going to, by the PI meeting, which we're having, I believe, on the 13th, we'll be discussing with Mr. Dosen and Mrs. Kramer the details of all of that, And then we'll send out any communication to the whole board of what that would be comprised of. We do believe it will be a little bit under this amount. This is a maximum amount. But this would be some additional upgrades to the HVAC throughout the district, and it would be paid for with the ESSER 3 monies, which will be available here shortly.
Is there any issue with having to wait for that ESSER 3 money
In terms of,
in terms of paying Gardner or
Oh, sorry.
starting the project?
no, we've talked with Gardner. They've been very flexible with us because, again, we kind of inadvertently kind of started this because of the needs and the PI piece of this. And then all of this, the ESSER 3 round came out especially. So they were kind of at the top of the list in terms of what we've already had engineered. So they are definitely willing to work with us on any of that stuff, but it should actually be available within the next couple of weeks is what they're estimating once they get the allocations and stuff sent to the states.
I don't want to take anything away from the PI meeting, but does this mean that we'll be able to allocate PI money to other projects that?
That is the intention, yeah. So we'll be looking at the priority list as a committee to then bring additional projects forward that would be alleviated from this. This is not necessarily, this is getting some other items off the list, but also we're going to be looking at that phase 1 project and taking part of that and moving it over to this funding as well, which will open up some PI funding to help us get some other items on that list taken care of. So yes. Yeah.
And so just to clarify too, in a normal process, we would get an estimate from Gardner. We would have all of the information in front of the board. We would get a chance to review it, ask questions, and then we would vote on it before any work would proceed. But because this price increase is pending out there by the end of the month, we're trying to get a commitment with Gardner so that they can order basically supplies and equipment before the price increase. So we're approving a resolution that is authorizing you and Chris to enter into an agreement, an additional addendum up to $1.25 million.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these funds, it's in the resolution, would come from ESSER 3, which for those paying attention at home, that was the last stimulus bill that was passed from at the federal level. So this is basically federal stimulus money relating to COVID-19. And so that money's designated for certain uses, and ventilation is one of them. So anything relating to HVAC qualifies. So this is a
Correct.
unique opportunity for us to move the chains quite substantially with ventilation in all of our buildings.
Yes, that is all accurate. That is the goal of this for sure. And then also too, when we have that final, I guess that contract from addendum from Gardner, we'll be obviously running all of that by legal as well. So David Riley will be involved in that process as we go forward.
And the board will eventually,
Yeah.
We'll see all of that too. So this isn't
Correct.
We're still going to be looped in and see what's coming. It's just to expedite it is this resolution so that we can basically lock in on the pricing before it goes up.
Absolutely.
And Craig and Chris, I just have a couple, one's a request and one's a question. I'm wondering what is contributing to this like sudden price increase? Do you guys know?
So a lot of it is being driven by demand. So they're throwing, from this federal stimulus, what's happening is that you've noticed that there's a lot of schools that are now going to be doing projects like this. So it's just a huge demand. And that's what we believe is driving most of the price increases.
And I'm hoping and I don't need it in exquisite detail, but if you could give us a general idea of what the additional work that you hope to have happen is going to entail.
Sure. Do you want to speak to that, or can you hear him, Ellen, at all?
Yep, I can.
Okay.
So the additional work, the 1.2 million or 2.5 million is the majority of that work is at the middle school. It includes the auditorium air handler systems and HVAC improvements, It includes the band room and choir room, HVAC improvement. It installs bipolar ionization throughout the middle school. And it installs bipolar ionization throughout the high school. And it also picks up boiler room number 2 boiler replacement.
Okay.
I don't think I missed anything.
Well, doesn't it also include the bipolar ionization in the new school too?
Yes. And this building as well. Yeah, it would be all of our buildings would have the bipolar ionization in it as well.
I thought we decided not to move forward with that bipolar. I thought we decided that that was not something that was proven.
We decided that we did not want to use the bond proceeds.
Okay.
Or general fund stuff
Or
too.
general
Yeah.
funds to purchase it, but these funds, this is ESSER 3 funds, so the funding is coming from the federal government, so we have,
Specifically for that? For
it
the,
qualifies, so HVAC, the boiler, filtration, air handlers, all of this to improve ventilation in the buildings is all coming from the federal funds, so.
And the
It's not
prices
going
are
to-
much, on that technology, it's actually, I don't want to say it's come down, but they were able to engineer those. And the cost of it is kind of what fits in terms of when we looked at identifying other items of what would fit within the ESSER funding. The other items that we have as we get to the high school would be too big. So we were trying to just fill all the gaps to like get as far as we could into the ESSER funding.
okay, so it was a good thing that we did wait on that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay,
Actually, yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, and the ESSER funding is quite substantial. So, what qualifies this is really allowing our district to make some significant strides in our infrastructure, and for those out there, the high school had air conditioning. The new building's going to have air conditioning. The middle school had partial air conditioning. We were moving forward with putting full air conditioning in, and this is allowing us to basically check all of that off the list, as well as put in other ventilation improvements in. So, when we're done with all of this, all of our buildings will be air conditioned, which will help in the heat of early and late year.
Yeah.
Any other remarks, comments? Roll call?
Okay, Mr. Dosen,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yeah,
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes. Okay, item 4, announcement of meetings. Our next regular board meeting will be April 28th, 2021 at the High School Media Center. We need the big place so we can honor all our students all our student athletes and student performers that we need to
for the winter.
for the winter. Yes, winter sports and winter teams too. Any other comments? Roll call?
You need
Motion to
adjourn.
Oh, I'm
adjourn.
sorry, the meeting's adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Dosen,
Yes.
Mrs. Kramer,
Yes.
Mrs. Mack,
Yes.
Mrs. Wigman,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ellen.